Oh, hey. This week's episode we have is the Saddle Row Review, or what my guide refers to as Saddle Row and Wreck. I don't know why he refers to it as. It just must mean that the Tribune Media Services is basically a bloomin' idiot. So, I'm just going to refer to this as the Saddle Row Review, because why not? So, Saddle Row Review. In the case of this episode, we have what I would coin the term as a flashback episode. I mean, it isn't a Pulp Fiction episode, I would say the least, because we don't have an episode that happens before this, and then an episode that happens later in between that would, that would sort of happen in between, like, sort of, I think it would be like, if I recall this, it'd be like Made in Manhattan with Sisterhood Social last season, if I recall both of them correctly, that both tie into each other. Or, like an example, Just for Sidekicks ties in with, Just for Sidekick ties in with Games Ponies Play, because that's a Pulp Fiction episode, where both the episodes tie into each other. Now, this one is a flashback episode where Rarity reads an article that her friends don't want her to read. However, Rarity reads the article anyways with all of her friends inside her home, as they, of course, read on their own mishaps they had at Rarity for You that we first found out about in The Gift of the Mod Pie, if I recall the episode. And there are like so many instances where I'm just like, either I was gonna hate the episode or I was gonna like it. But then I was on the point where I was sort of just on the leaning seat of hating it, because quite honestly, it's like there are so many instances where probably Rarity made a bad choice in buying the place, or didn't look into inspecting it on whether or not it was a good choice or not. Because, I don't know, Manhattan sort of reminded me a lot of, like, Liberty City and Grand Theft Auto 4, because if you play Grand Theft Auto 4, it's like, it's where the Russian Mafia is, loan sharks, and everything is. Because it's a dangerous city. Voted the most dangerous place in all of the U.S. Right up next there to Los Santos and Vice City and San Andreas. So, that's that. And worse than that, there is a club going on, run by DJ Pony. Yes. They're deciding to call her that instead of DJ Pony. Because why not? It's not like we need to call it DJ Pony or Vinyl Scratch, because that's our name. Because we just call it. Because we, the fans, call it that. The show staff calls her DJ Pony. So we have Rarity obviously picking up a place that she probably didn't look too much into details about, as she has a lot to do, as she has a lot to deal with. Obviously, a person who has to hire this girl, otherwise the boss will have to raise the rent on the place, and her friends having to deal with certain little tasks that'll know nothing about, that they know absolutely nothing about, but they somehow make it in the end. And, of course, in this process, while Rarity is working on the boutique or at least the front store display and everything is going so very wrong for this area, and rather being reported by what I could tell is J.K. Simmons from Spider-Man. No, seriously, this is J.K. Simmons from Spider-Man. I forget the guy. Peterson. I think it's Peterson. I don't know. It's been a long time since I've seen the film, but I could remember it's J.K. Simmons. But in the process, they act like they can try to fix up the place, acting like Rarity, but in the long run, they see if they could try to improve their skills by actually pretending that they can be Rarity, but in the long run, they can't, as they try to think of their friend in the process, and in the long end, they fix up the place, hire some new people, and in the long end, Rarity's place is a complete success. And if I say so, and Rarity absolutely loves the place and thought the place was a disaster, but thankfully, and is glad that the place isn't badly reviewed. I gotta be honest with you, I honestly thought this was going to be like one of those bad episodes, because I took a look at the plot, or I took a look at a little summary of the episode, and when taking a look at the summary for this, I thought this was going to be one where they get, where the place gets, where there's this really bad news reporter who tries to blackmail Rarity or something like that. But I figured they probably done that. But when they did the episode, the staff probably figured they already did that already with friendship games. So they just decided, we already did that in friendship games, so let's just do something else, where the 3/4 of the main six get interviewed by Mr. Peterson from Spider-Man, and they tell the story about how they fix up Rarity's boutique and everything goes for the better. And that's where this story is. There are some things that I think were hilarious with it. I mean, the one thing I like is just Fluttershy just talking to the raccoons that were inside her home, or inside her boutique, Rarity for You. And just the times that she was talking to the journalist, there's one moment where she's talking to the raccoons, and the next thing you know, when she's talking to a journalist, the next thing you know, the raccoons are with her. And I'm just like, how is she doing this? And the next thing you know, there's one moment where the raccoons are suddenly butlers now. And I'm just like, this is hilarious. This is so ingenious. How is this? It's too hard to describe how funny this is. And, oh my, oh my. I think with it better, I'm trying to get off from last week's episode, and I know I'm tired of talking about last week's episode. Well, technically I talked about it more on Monday than I did on Saturday, because I was at Everfree Northwest. But even then, between this and last week's episode, it was a nice bit of a break from each other, and between this and the other one, I'd say in the very least, with the everything that went on with each other, with the incidents that went on with each other between trying to celebrate the holiday and fixing up a boutique, I'd say for the better, this story was a nice bit of a break. Sure, this is kind of a bit tiring. Obviously you saw this in Season 4, where Rarity was just, trying to crash the whip or something like that, but at least she doesn't do this again in Season 4, and her friends learn from their mistakes and everything else, if I recall that. I haven't seen Season 4 quite a while, and I might need to take a look at that again if I ever had the chance to either pick up the DVDs or watch it on Netflix again. But either way, I'd say that this episode, in my opinion, is a good one at best, and I'd take a look at it again if I could. So, in that respects, I'd say that this episode, the Saddle Row Review, is practically something that's worth watching if you have the chance to. So I'll look forward to seeing what they do next week. If I haven't taken a look at the plot or anything, so again, I'm going into this blindly. And don't worry about the con vlogs; they're coming at their own pace, and the panels, they're coming pretty fast. So don't worry about that. And yeah, that's about it that I could say about the episode and for this channel's update. And obviously, one more thing. Whatever's going on with my channel and for the whatever's gaining for the 2,450 subscribers that I've been gaining. Thank you for the gaining updates. I think it's been like the con vlogs or whatever I've been doing that's been doing this, but it's been wonderful that you're doing this and whatever. So I thank you very much for doing this, and that's all I can say right now. Is just wonderful. I'll just wait until like 5,000 or whatever, and once that's done, I might be able to credit actors or whatever for many instances. So until that happens, whatever happens, see you guys for the con vlogs, and see you guys next week for next episode. Later.